Hey, this is Arthur. I just want to hop in real quick and just give you some tips that I use to make myself successful on the Veteran Shark Tank. Okay, these are the 10 things that I did and kept doing to make sure that I was rehearsed, I was practiced, I was poised, and I was ready. So if you don't do anything else, do these 10, okay? Like seriously, do these 10. So here we go. Number one.
Let's go.
So number one, make sure you read the requirements. Each business plan competition has a different set of requirements. Some of them require you to explain your business idea in 300 words or less, 150 words or less. Some of them don't want the explanation at all. Some of them want you to have a business plan, like the Veteran Shark Tank. I had to complete a fully vetted business plan, and I didn't have one at the time. So I had to create one. Right? And don't worry, there's some resources in the platform that you can use that'll help you do your business plan. But let's stay focused. I met one guy there. I won't really say his name because he's probably going to join this if he hadn't already. And I remember talking to him where I went further along in the business plan competition than he did. And when we talked, he said that he didn't realize that we were supposed to cover the financials in the business plan competition. Now, for me, I wasn't sure how that's possible, but let's assume everything is exactly as he said. That means that even if he had a perfect pitch, because he didn't include one of the required components, he didn't make it to the next level. And you don't want that to be you. So check the requirements.
Let's go.
Number two, get help, okay? First off, if you're here, then you probably hadn't pitched before or you hadn't pitched that many times. And so you don't know what you don't know. And this is not to insult you, all right? Even me with 8-9 years in business and as an entrepreneur and an MBA with focus on finance, I still needed help, all right? And so when you go down and look at you can go to the education section or you can go to the free resources. And you do either one. I don't care which, but get help. And when I say help, I'm not talking about your homeboy, your homegirl, who kind of does a little business on the side or whatever. I'm talking about people who all day, what they do is help people launch their business. Right? So you got the Small Business Development Center, you have SCORE, or you can enroll in an educational program. They will help you vet your idea out, right? And they will help you see things that you're not necessarily paying attention to because you're the creator. So for instance, for me, I didn't understand the manufacturing piece. That wasn't my skill set. That wasn't my expertise. So the first contact was a friend of mine who, him and his wife had a business already and they had a product-based business. So they gave me the ins and outs. When I was doing the business plan portion, I reached out to the Small Business Development Center and they helped me with the financial section. Even me with an MBA in finance needed help. So get help, all right? This is not the time for your ego. And this is not the time to be afraid to show people that you don't know. This is the exact time that you show people what you don't know so that they can help you. And then they really want to help you because a win for you is a win for them. So number two is get help.
Let's go.
Number three, get proof. Now, if you hadn't made any sales yet, that's okay. But what took me over the top was that I had sales. I tested my product on people and gotten results. Before I walked into that Veteran Shark Tank, I take the sales to the side. I'd given my product to a couple of physical therapists and occupational therapists. They in turn gave it to 50 of their patients. And the vast majority of them whose pain level was at an 8 dropped down to a pain level of 0, 1, or 2 in like 3 minutes. And so that gave me a story that I could tell, right? And so it's not just, just try this and I know it's going to work because it worked on my mom. This was like, no, I have some actual facts that will prove to you or show you that, hey, this works and there's a need. So get some results, get some stories, get some proof, all right? Whatever you have to do, get that because that will help you, that will help your confidence because now you're not up there and you're fighting whether or not your stuff actually works because you know it works because you've tested it, right? Now it's just about you convincing them that who you tested it on is a representative of the whole population you'll be serving. Does that make sense? All right, so get that.
Let's go.
Number 4, get sales. All right, so here's the deal. Now, most business plan competitions, you'll hear somebody say this, and don't let this be you. If we only get 1% of the market and it's a $15 billion market, that means we'll make X amount. First off, You have no clue if you can get 1%. You have no clue if you can get 0.00000%. You don't. What you do have control over is if you go out there and get sales. And even if you don't have the product yet, go out there and get pre-sales, right? Because what you can do then is say, like for us, we made $5,000 in the first 100 days using Facebook ads. And I knew that I spent about $2,000 to $3,000 on the Facebook ads to make those sales. And so when I talked to the judges, I was like, so listen, it cost us about $2,500, $3,000 to make $5,200. I would take a portion of the prize money and put it there because the ratio shows that I can make more money than I'm spending because we've already done it, right? See how much stronger that is than saying, well, you know, if we get 1%, the moment you start making projections like that, you lose the interest of the judges because they know you're making it up. But what they can't refute are the sales that you've already done. I mean, you've seen Shark Tank. Their eyes perk up when they see people who have a lot of sales because now it transitions them from a concept to an actual product that people want. And that's what I want you to have. And I know you're probably thinking, well, how many sales do I need? For right now, if you don't have any, get 1. Then get 10. Then get as many as you can between now and the date that the business plan competition. If you have at least 1, you can make an argument. Well, 1 that isn't your parents or your spouse or your significant other or your kids, right? I'm talking about 1 where someone else legitimately bought your stuff. You pitched it and they bought it, okay? That you can stand on. Got it? Good.
Let's go.
For number 5, get emotional. Now, I don't mean this. What I mean is, no one is interested in your product right now. Now, when I mean the judges. So don't be offended. They're just not. They see a bunch of people like you and me all day. What they are interested in is the background. Why did you create this? Who is this for? Why are their lives better as a result? And who have you used this on, and how are their lives made better? So for instance, for me, Meg Relief came up because nothing else worked on my knees after I sustained that basketball injury, except the nutmeg from the island of Grenada, which made it work, boom, immediately. Fast forward 2 years, my mom had both her knees replaced and she was popping pain pills every day, ibuprofen, several times a day. No knock on ibuprofen. It was doing its job, right? But she didn't want to spend the rest of her life taking ibuprofen every day. Now we have Meg Relief and she takes that, she rubs it on her knees once every 3 days and it's all natural. You see that? Now I got you thinking about my mom, which if your mom is in pain, now you're thinking about your mom. I pulled you into my world. So even if my numbers aren't great, now you're thinking about me. Got it? That's what you got to do.
Let's go.
Number 6, tell a good story. So listen, have you ever heard this song, the Charlie Brown, right? The old Charlie Brown, where when the teachers talk, it was like, right? Like, or
Bueller,
right? And everybody sleep. That's how we sound when we go up there to pitch our business and we have no story, nothing that inspires. People could care less about your numbers or your figures or your product. Tell a story. Now here's the thing. Don't know if you're a Christian or not, but bear with me for a second. In the Bible, in the New Testament, for Jesus, 99% of the time when he talked or spoke, he used stories, right? Martin Luther King, the I have a dream speech, it wasn't I have a plan or I have 10 things to cover. It was I have a dream. One day. We remember that. 77 years ago, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, right? Stories. Stories sell. Okay? So what story can you create based on all the things I've already told you that will electrify the audience and bring them to your side and champion your cause? So that way, by the time you're finished, they're fighting for you, right? That's what's going to set you apart. And if you can't tell a story, just learn. Everything is a story, right? You became a member of I Find You Pitch because you read my story. Find a good story. And if you need help, remember, once a month, we're going to sit down with a group and we're going to go over pitches. And so if you want to pitch your story during that time, I'm with it. Let me know. Let's get to the next one.
Let's go.
So for number 7, you got to be concise. And what I mean is that every business plan is going to have a time limit, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 8 minutes. And usually after that, they're going to have question and answers. So for the Veteran Shark Tank, you had 8 minutes. And then you had 8 minutes of question and answers. And then they allowed me to have a PowerPoint slide. So I had to make sure that the PowerPoint slide hit the facts that I wanted to tell, had the imagery that I wanted to, and then I go in a specific order. So I could take them from story to how we're going to market it, how my advisory team, finances, then go back to story of who we helped. Like it was just ebb and flow, right? That's what you're going to have to do. How do you outline your presentation so that you hit the core facts and then get out of there? Story, who are you and your advisory team? What mission are you trying to accomplish? How are you going to accomplish it from a marketing branding perspective? How are you going to accomplish it from a financial perspective? How are you going to accomplish it from an operational perspective? How are you going to scale it? And then end with a story. Boom, 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 boom. Got it? That's what you're going to have to do.
Let's go.
Number 8, let them break you down. And so here's the thing. This one was, in this season of my life, not that bad, but 10 years ago, it would have been bad. And so what do I mean? Let me tell you what happened. I'd never been in an incubator. I'd never been in an accelerator. I'd never been in a group or training, except what I've learned from my own day-to-day experiences through trial and error, right? So I never knew what a business pitch competition looked like, what it felt like, or anything. And I didn't have a community of entrepreneurs who had done that. So how do you prepare for something that you've never seen before? And when you don't have the resources, I gathered my family, right? I gathered all the free resources, prepped that way, and then I put my family together, family and friends, and said, let me present to you, right? And when I did, I told them that, I said, listen, I'm not interested in you being nice. I'm interested in telling the best story to pull you to my side. We did it on a Thursday night, and basically a Friday night, and they were like, this is boring. You know, basically you suck. You didn't do this, I don't feel it, da 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 da. Then Friday, did it again. And it's like, oh, that's better. Then later that Friday, I did it again, right? And then I pitched that Sunday. Then this was the very first pitch competition that I did. I made it from the top 100 down to the final 8, and I didn't make it any further. So though I was bummed, I was like, okay, I found the judges that didn't let me pass it to the final round, to which it would have been guaranteed for me to get a check. And I asked them, what can I do to improve? What was I missing? And they told me. For them, it was manufacturing, trying to export from overseas. They said, you have problems that you didn't mention. So what do? I edited that part. And then I went to the very next pitch competition, which was the Veteran Shark Tank, and I won it. But I set my ego to the side and let other people tell me, hey, what's this? Now, did I accept all the criticism that they said? No, I had to put it in context. But the core things, like I wanted to make sure that I made them excited about what I was doing, right? And that what I said makes sense. And what I said was easy to follow. And you got to do that too. So once you do that, you're going to be good to go. All right?
Let's go.
Number 9, practice, 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 practice. You need to know your numbers better than anything else. You need to know your story better than anything else. You need to know your marketing better than anything else. Like ice cold, right? And speaking of the numbers, you need to know how much money you've spent, how much sales you've had, how much it costs to market, how much it costs to produce, the vendors that you're using, like all that. right? Now, if you stumble on the ratios, that's fine, because if you know the numbers of everything that you've done in your business, you can kind of figure out the ratios, all right? But if you have questions on the financials, let me know. But you need to know the financial statements, like the income statement, the balance sheet, statement of cash flows. Go to Small Business Development Center and they will walk you through it, or on one of our weekly and monthly webinars, ask me and I'll guide you through it, okay? But you gotta know those, all right? And then practice, 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 practice. The hardest thing is gonna be, how do you get all this information concise and engaging in that finite amount of time? That was the hardest thing for me. It took me forever, a whole, I think 2 weeks to get down to the 8-minute mark to fit it in there. And then I had to cut a whole bunch of stuff out, but it worked. All right, practice, 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 practice. In front of the mirror, in front of people you don't know, in front of this coaches, in front of everywhere, okay? Because you're gonna be nervous, but the thing that you practice becomes permanent and it will kick in. Right before I presented in front of the Veteran Shark Tank for the finals, I was a nervous wreck. Now, all my competitors, they were cool. They were out socializing, collecting business cards, telling engaging stories. And I was like, man, am I the only one that's unprepared? Like, all of them had been to something like this before. They had been in incubators. One of them had already had investments before, and another one had already been on Beyond the Tank. I was the only one that had no experience, but I was prepared, as best prepared as I can be. Practice.
Let's go.
Number 10, don't take it personal. Here's the thing. They're not attacking you when they ask you questions. They're attacking the idea. And usually it's to understand it, right? Or if they think it's crap, they just think it's crap. One judge at the Veteran Shark Tank said, I don't see it. I don't see how this is scaled. Literally, I'm gonna set it up for you. So we did all the presentation, everything was going well. And he was like, and so it was me standing here at the back of the room. It was 5 judges, all of them, well-renowned and wealthy and high up in corporate or high up in corporate America. In between us, it was about 300 people who were the audience who had paid tickets for this event, right? And so he was like, I don't see how this is gonna scale, right? And it took me off guard. The only thing I could say was like, well, thank you for your transparency. And literally you heard everybody giggle. And so it clicked. I said, okay, in the audience, how many of you guys are struggling with joint pain right now? About 70% of the people raised their hand. And I looked at him and said, this is how we're gonna scale. Meaning that there is a big need. And I won. And then afterwards, he told me, hey, go for it. Let me know how it goes. He wasn't even asking in an accusatory, derogatory manner. But if I would have got in my feelings right then, I could have blew that moment. And come to find out, of the top 5, I had tied with another company that was there. And then I slightly edged them out. But what if I'd have got in my feelings? I wouldn't be talking to you right now. So don't take it personal. They're just there trying to see, they're going to give you all this money, right? If I'm going to give you $50,000, $5,000, $1,000, what are you going to do with it? I got 100 people asking me for this same $1,000. I want to see a return on the investment. Are you that person? I got to ask everything. And don't worry about your background. If you failed in business before, you don't come from that. I had every failure ever. But when it's your season to win and you're prepared for that season, nothing's going to stop you. Trust me, nothing's going to stop you. All right, this is it for the first one. I'm going to try to make sure I send you some stuff, every week so that you could be prepared. And then we'll go from there. I have a podcast called the Restart Podcast. And what it is it's me uncensored. I tell you the raw things that I had to go through to get here. I do it because I want you to see it, listen to it, absorb it, and then learn from it so that you can, what took me 10 years to do, you can do in 2 years or 1 year, or if you're really good, 6 months, okay? So check that out. It's on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, all that other stuff. All right, you guys, this is for this. Get to work. Get to work. If you have any questions, let me know. All right, talk to you later.
Let's go.